Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Wednesday night, it's March 23rd. I'm a little bit late doing this and I'm pressed for time, so I apologize that I'm probably going to move through this rather quickly tonight rather than try to describe each trade. But notice that we had the big sell off, then we went into a range, and then we sold off again. And generally, that's what will happen. If you trade down into a range, it may break out in both directions multiple times, but generally, when it's successful, it will break out successfully in the direction, same direction as it traded into that range. So if we'd have been trading up into this range, we probably would have gone out the upper side. But in this case, we traded down strongly and then we went out the other side. And once we made this high point here, you want to each time we make a high point, you're looking for a measured leg, and you can see that first leg down. And if you're looking for a measured one, we didn't quite get there. We got really, really close, maybe within 2 or 3 ticks. So that would have given you a nice target. I would also measure this leg, which looks like so. And then from over here, and you can see that was basically a perfect measured move. It maybe went 2 or 3 ticks over. So generally, your more recent legs are going to be more accurate than the longer term legs, although many times they're all perfect to the tick. So the beauty about today is not only was it a pretty much a downtrend day, actually a lot of it today was sideways. And when you're swinging back and forth above the EMA like that, you can trade it both ways. But once you start trending down like so, or if you're trending up like that, you got to be careful about trade. You only want to trade in one direction. You don't want to counter trend in any way when the prices are consistently above or below the EMA, moving in that direction or trending, in other words. Okay, I had a serious interruption. I'm even further behind now than I was earlier. So I think we stopped off about talking about the measuring the legs down and so forth. So let me back out. I'm going to talk about these trades real quick. And unfortunately, I apologize, but this is going to be really quick. It's mostly all shorts. Once we were going sideways, there's a few longs in here. But this was the best trade of the day. If you just caught this one trade today, and notice how you got this double top and prices broke higher and turned down. And it's also a second entry because you got a low there, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. But more than anything, it's just a double top, a broader double top because you already had one here, and you got this real bearish bar that it broke higher and turned and went out the other side. Just have a stop. Let me make this a little bigger. Oops. Well, I'm not helping myself get through this, but well, let me just move that because you can see it. But notice how it broke higher and turned and went right out the other side. Just have your stop waiting right there below that bearish bar. And if it does go through, it automatically puts you in that trade. And look at that. You would have had a runner and you could have ridden this literally you could have ridden it all day. Personally, I wouldn't hang on to one that long. Once we broke higher here, I probably would have exited. But that is the trade of the day. That's the kind and that's why I'm always saying when you catch these failed breakouts at very highs or very lows, they sometimes are the high or low of the day. And that's the case. This was the high of the day. And so a nice entry. And then again, it's you make a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And again, it went higher and turned and went out the other side. That's the first break of this real tight channel working down. And we did overshoot it here, so no surprise that we got a break on the other side. But that's another nice short. And then you've got a double top here. This is like a double test. This little failed break higher. You could draw, I don't have the line across there, but you want to draw that line. So it's another failed break higher. It's really kind of it's almost a repeat pattern of this up here. Failed break higher, and then you're working lower. There's a second entry right there, but it's not, it's not bearish enough. I don't like that bar. And then you're really close to the double bottom there, not a lot of room. But you do get a second entry here again. Notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And this is another one. It broke higher, turned, and went right out the other side. It traps people. Look how quickly it falls down. And then we were And earlier I was looking at this as a spiking channel. We spiked down, we went into a channel, and I believe that's what we have there. But in the end, there's also a bigger two-tiered channel working, Lord. You can see that, and we had the break here, and even though we still kind of went sideways, we made a new low. And another trader sent me an email, and he was asking about this correction right here. That's actually supposed to be a long. He was asking me about that correction there. You know, when we got the break, he's like, now shouldn't I be looking for a new short? Well, yes, the answer to that question is yes. You should be looking for it to come back and retest the low. But because we have this range going on, you still got to pay close attention to the support support area and the resistance area, because they may come back into play just like they did. But notice, however, we still were able to make a new low in the end, but we had problem getting back through that original support, and we never got through the resistance. It never would give again. So you got to be able to understand what's going on currently while always watching the bigger picture. But anyway, then we made another double top here and a repeat. We broke higher. We didn't go out the other side on this one, but you got a nice bearish bar. Just go short right there. Again, that's a double test of a previous high, triple, almost a quadrupled high. At that point, I'd move this down. You can see that resistance right there. That's a no-brainer, really. This one was tempting, but the bar is not quite bearish enough. That's the first break of that channel, or that we got a little trend working up there. And notice what happens. We end up getting a break and a new high. And notice right here, this is a good reason why you don't want to take the first entry, because this one failed. And that's a real tempting trade. I'm going to tell you, it was hard for me. I mean, even I like that trade, but this is a good example of why I'm always saying, pay attention to what's going on, and you know, be patient. You really should wait on a second entry off this high, and you could count that as a second entry counting off the high. But if you count this swing low, actually you could count that. You really could count that as a second entry counting off the low, because here's the swing low. But notice those two matching lows. That's the same thing as a swing low. So this is like a little bit a new swing low. You can count that as a new swing low. So if you do that, it pull back first entry, pull back second entry, a nice bearish bar. But even then, I was a little bit worried about that bar because it's more of an inside. But when you got this little bitty there's two ticks in that bar. When it broke higher and turned and went right down out the other side, I mean, you pretty much know you got them trapped at that point. I really thought this would go all the way to the other side, but it didn't. And I think the reason it didn't was because the news came out. So, but anyway, back to this. If you entered there, you got burned, and there's nothing you can do. I normally like to keep a one tick, my stop 2 ticks above the swing if you got enough room. And guess what? That's such a small bar, you could have used 2 ticks with no worry there. So, and you still wouldn't have got stopped out of that, and it would have worked, but you might have gotten scared out of it anyway. But I really like this little setup. I honestly thought it would go to the other side. I think the reason it didn't was because the news came out for the oil. And lately, oil has been affecting the ES. Why? I don't know, but sometimes markets do that. And oil doesn't always generally affect the ES, but it has lately because there's so much crazy stuff going on with oil. And so when that news about the oil came out, we shot straight up and then shot straight back down. But this is a failed break above all that resistance right there. And look how far away we are from the EMA. And if you'd have drawn this trend line off those first couple of swings down here, and just drug it up, you would have also been looking for a possible resistance area right there. And I know there was another trader that saw that because he sent me a description of it. He described it perfectly. And so I'm not the only one that found that. By teaching that and showing it to other people, I know at least one trader's learned that secret about how to find your swings from the opposite side. So that means you could have found this off those first 2 swings. So by 8:30 this morning, my time, between 8:30 and 8:35, you could have known to be looking for a turn down right there. But this was news related, so you may not have wanted to enter that quickly. If you did, it was a great trade. And then guess what? It makes a double bottom down here, a little failed break lower, and that's your long. And that's another great move. And you exit at the high all the way back up, and then guess where it turns down again, right off that trend line. It's tempting to enter here, um, but because this is a range, we're probably headed to the other side. But I'm really nervous about going short that close to that low, right into that EMA. It probably should be green because there's a lot of reasons to like that trade. But you can see that trade, well, just like here, that was very bearish, but it failed. So you got to be careful with those trades. But I mean, that one probably should be green because of the bigger two-tiered channel and the fact that you also had the uh, range resistance. If it hadn't been for that, I would say definitely you can't take that in any instance. But because of that, we're probably headed to the other side. And then, of course, we bounce. Look at that bullish reversal bar right off the support area again. And notice how we're swinging back and forth across the EMA. And then we turn down here again. This one is tempting, but your signal bar is not very good. Notice the move up. There's two swings in there. So you could, it's a second entry on a smaller level, but that bar is not bearish enough. This bar is fairly bearish, but we make a higher low right here. And I would have, if this would have ticked higher and then turned down, that would have been a multiple repeat pattern for the day. And I really would have liked it, but I still liked going short there because we came off that trend line. It's been holding the whole time. And so I still like that one. Another nice short, and then of course you get a reversal bar and we bounce down here at the lows again, another little failed break lower. It's only good for a scalp, and this time we kind of work lower. This is more sideways, and we're just kind of chopping around. You probably would have measured this and looked for a possible measured move, but I just don't see anything I like in there until the reversal pattern here. Notice that we had a break of this shorter term channel. Notice we overshot it here, but it took another swing before we broke through. And then it pushes down, makes a new low, it reverses. It's tempting to go long right there, but we're not that far away from the EMA, and that trend line's right there. But then it pulls back, shoots right through the EMA, pulls back, you get that failed second entry short. That's your reversal pattern. It's right off. It also confirms that trend line, and boom, off it goes. There's some more shorts up here. Notice that break moved to a new high, bearish bar. There's a little more room between the EMA here, so I like that one because of how bearish it is. And it's really a double top right here at the former resistance. But we push up one more time and you get the failed second entry long. So now you got a trap. Again, it's a quick, easy move and it bounces. But notice that trend line working down, then you get a break. And it really just makes another high up here and another bearish bar. I figure we're coming back down to here, and maybe it keeps going again, but and we make that new low that we're trying to make a new low here anyway. So this turns out to be a pretty good trade. And then where does it bounce? Right at that support area again. You've had your break, move to a new low, and look, there's two legs in there. It's a little bit hard to see that little. It moves down, pushes up, and then moves back down. So that's a second entry long on a different level, smaller level, and it's right off that support area. So we're probably headed back up to the upper resistance again, and then we start heading down again. And this one, notice how it shoots right through that EMA, no hesitation, pulls back, tests it, and takes off. And notice if you drew it off those first couple of swings there, closes, and you get that. So I like that one. Again, you figure it's coming to here to this low, and this is actually a little bit lower here. There's just enough room to get out, but it just falls through there like it's not even there. And we finally make the new low for this, and then it's pretty much sideways from there on. And so everything kind of played out well today. This two-tiered channel, you're working down, you get the break, move to a new low. But there's also a little bit of a sideways movement back and forth above the EMA, and that support and resistance came into play all day long. The overshoot down here is about an equal measurement for this overshoot up here, which is real common. So pretty good trading day, mostly downhill, but for a little while here it was sideways. Actually, I take that back. There's a downward bias all day, but when it's going back and forth above the EMA, that's more neutral. So today was neutral to downward bias. So, but anyway, I got to wrap it up. This is really late getting posted. I hate it, but it'll be there. You'll find it, and apologize for the lateness of it. So I will. I got another call coming in. Somebody's looking for me. But anyway, I apologize for it being late. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.